Thank you for watching the presentation today. What we're going to do is talk a little bit about HotDocs, the technology, and a little about the company as well. And then we'll go into HotDocs Developer and show you how the technology works. So really, a lot of times when I start to engage with clients, we start to talk about what's going on within their environment. What are they coming to HotDocs for? And most of them know they have some type of issue around document assembly or document automation. They don't know quite how to fix it or what to do about it. They just know they have some questions or concerns, and there's got to be a better way to do um, the creation process than they are today. Another thing that we see very common out there is a lot of companies, a lot of firms are piecing together documents from multiple old documents. So I know they need to write a new will or a new trust or something else that they have need for, and they'll go and find something they've done previously. They'll take that and kind of piece it together and replace the names and dates to something that's more accurate. But again, the process is very labor intensive and not very intuitive, or they'll have multiple versions of the same document. I talk to people every day that have, you know, 10, 20, 30 different versions of the same documents out there that they have for different use cases. Or, one of the big ones we see a lot is they just have issues and concerns around any type of legal or regulatory compliance. They know they need to manage that. Every one of the documents they have out there, they want to make sure is up to date with the most recent information because it does pose risk to them as an organization. So that's one of the big concerns that most of the clients have as well. So HotDocs, how do we help? Where do we come in and really solve the problem? And to start at the end, which I think is most important, around the compliance and risk, because that's what a lot of our technology centers around, really making sure that every document that leaves your organization are accurate. So in other words, all documents comply with your most recent legal terms and conditions, clauses, any regulatory requirements that are out there, making sure, again, they leave your office 100% compliant with that, and very easy to manage from a central location. And even standardization, making sure that everything is branded right across all your documents. The fonts are the same. There's no spacing issues or numbering issues. Cross references are there, headers and footers. The output, again, being one or multiple documents, all having the exact same look and feel. And then efficiency. We would not be in business if we didn't help to make the process better, easier, faster for our clients. And a lot of that is simply eliminating those first points we talked about. So again, eliminating the manual document creation, eliminating the fact to take an old document or multiple documents and piece together to make one good document, or having multiple versions of the same document that you're doing that with, and then really eliminating those legal and regulatory concerns. When we talk about HotDocs, the technology itself, we're really talking about two different aspects. We're talking about a content author and a content user. A content author is going to be someone that is taking your documents. They don't have to know special coding or anything else. They just need to know your forms and documents very well, taking those documents and converting them over into the HotDocs technology. And the end user is actually someone that takes that, once it's been published, takes that technology and puts it to use. And so we'll talk about that here in a second. So again, it's taking whatever documents you currently have, looking at those and determining, how do we take those and turn them into what we call HotDoc templates. And templates are something that in the HotDocs technology, you look through and find variable obviously meaning changeable piece of information. So what can change? Name, date, agreement date, any type of computation or formulas that go into the document, even headers and footers, company information, contact information, things like that. We want to look for that in those documents. And then once we've done that as well, we also want to look at whole sections or whole paragraphs. When one document is output, do we need just that one, or do we also need a second or third document that's output after that process is done as well? Or is it something as simple as just replacing one section of a document with a different clause or different term and condition, one that applies to a certain state in the US as opposed to another one? All that type of information. Once that template has been created, and the template, what that does is creates a interactive interview. if you've used any type of online, TurboTax or something like that, you've gone through and answered a series of questions. Do you have this? Yes or no? And it asks you dynamically more questions based off of that. It's the same thing that we're doing here. And I'll show you how that dynamic interview works once we actually get into Developer. And if you want to, as your practice or as your firm or as your organization grows and you want to do some type of integration with an iManage or a database, we can facilitate that as well. We've done it thousands of times. It helps to actually really make the document creation very efficient because it's pulling in a lot of the information that you'd be putting in manually. But again, that's something you don't have to do out of the box. It's something that is there available and you can grow into. And then at the end, once the interview or dynamic questions and answers have been completed, you hit the finish button. The finish button is going to give you all the documents. It could be one again or multiple documents with everything filled out perfectly, all spaced perfectly, all numbered correctly, and it puts it out in Word or PDF format. You can take that and put it into a file folder, into a document management system, or take that and send it off to a client through an electronic signature software like a DocuSign or a HelloSign. It really depends on what you want to do with that at the end. But again, the most important thing to know is the output document is in Word and PDF format. So all the editing and restrictions and changes and everything else that you have in a normal Word document is something that you have at the end. This is not a special formula or special coding. You have full rights and access to those documents at the end. Another great thing is an answer file is created. So let's say that you engage with a client and they, their first engagement, they want one set of documents. They come back to you and want a second set of documents that you didn't think they needed at the initial engagement. You can go ahead and pull up their answer file. That answer file may have in that a lot of the answers to the questions needed for the second set of documents. So it'll automatically populate all the answers to all the questions that come across from that answer file. And again, we'll show you exactly how that works here in just a minute. The use cases for document automation are pretty much out there. They run the gamut across all verticals and all sectors. Everything from estate planning, non-disclosure agreements, engagement letters, franchise agreements, insurance claims, wills and trusts, commercial loans. We've pretty much seen it all in 25 years, and we feel very comfortable working with those. When we're talking about the technology itself, it's important to know this can be a simple desktop application that's installed on one person's machine and has just that one person as the user, or can be installed on one person's machine where they publish out that dynamic question and answer session to 2, 3, 4 people in a smaller practice, up to multiple thousands of people at the larger organizations. But whether you're starting small or big, we can really accommodate your needs with that. And as far as partners, we've partnered with pretty much everyone out there, from iManage to DocuSign, Salesforce, SharePoint. We have the plugins that allow you to automate that as you grow and develop as a practice. Who we are, 11,000 customers worldwide, over 1 million end users on a daily basis. That's across 60% market share in the legal sector, 8 and growing, 8 out of the top 15 insurance companies, and 4 out of the top 5 global banks all use our technology. Everything from very, very small law, where they've got, again, 1 or 2 attorneys, to very large organizations. We are the pioneer and market leader and have been so for over 25 years. What that means to you is that when you make an investment in HotDocs, you're not making an investment in something that could be a risk. You're making a very good investment in technology that's very proven, very well known in the industry. There's user groups. There's lots of videos out there and tutorials that we can walk you through. There's a lot of public training sessions. We can do private training sessions, just depending on what your needs are. And we're deployed in over 60 countries. We support multiple languages within our technology. And we have a large network of over 50 different global partners for you to work with as well. And again, talking about the proven technology, this is not a risk. And the last thing I'll point out is what I touched on before, which is our global professional services organization. You can buy the technology from us, install it, and read the tutorials yourself and videos yourself, or you can engage with us and do the public or private training, or even have us come in and do all of the conversion of your current documents over into templates, which create that dynamic question and answer session for the end users. It just depends on what you want, what your budget allows for, and how you would like for us to engage with you. And a lot of our clients even just have us come in and do, one or two of their documents just to kind of get them started so they can kind of see how the process works. But again, it's completely up to you. So what we'll do now is move into the demonstration portion. I'm going to open up Developer 11 and walk you through that process of how the end user, how they see it on their side, but also I'm going to show you the creation process, what we call the template creation. I'll do some very simple ones, how to replace names and dates, what is multiple choice, and um, what does that do for you when you're working within the template? Show you how computations work, and then show you the inserts. We're talking about inserting both multiple templates or multiple documents, as well as something as simple as inserting just one paragraph based on an answer. So let's move now from the PowerPoint section into Developer 11. All right, now let's go ahead and open up Developer. And I'll click to open that up. The first thing you'll notice on the left-hand side is we're going to have all of our navigation. So you'll see I've got folder structure underneath the example templates. I've got a couple different demo examples I usually go through, but these can be organized into different sections. For example, banking. I've got one for contracts, one for insurance. If you're a desktop user, the only access rights you're going to have is selecting the template and selecting the assemble button. If you're an author or creator, you're going to have the option of creating a new template or editing an existing template. But for the demonstration we're doing now for the end user, we're going to go ahead and select Simple Will and assemble. And this is where you'll see the dynamic question and answer interview created by HotDocs. So the first thing it's going to ask you is if you want to use an existing answer file or if you want to create a new answer file. Now the benefit here is if you've worked on something previously with a client previously, or let's say you went halfway through the question and answer interview, you quit for the day, then came back in the future, you can go ahead and select an answer file that you've already previously been working on and go ahead and complete that. And at the end of the interview, we'll also save the answer file, and that's just saved in a normal XML format. So you can take that and use that however you want to, or just save it, but also could be imported into a database. But for today, for this example, we're going to start with a new answer file, start fresh, click OK. And we'll walk through the first section of the simple will. So first name, we'll do Bob A. Jones, not know my different name. We'll do male. We'll do marital status is married. Now I'm going to fill in the answers automatically just to save time for the demonstration today. This is also where if you wanted to set up a database connector and put in a client ID, it can pull in a lot of information into the system from your database if you have that. But again, for the demonstration today, I'm going to click this. It's going to answer most of the information. And at any given time, you can take these sections, and when you click them, it can show more information or additional information down below. So for example, if you're not quite sure how to answer one certain section, it will display additional dialogue or additional helpful information in the section down below just by selecting that section of the document. But everything we're clicking here, keep in mind, is dynamically changing the document on the back end. And at any given time when you're doing that, if you want to preview the document, you would just hit the document preview button up on top, and it can show you what's being added. It highlights it in blue to the document that we're going to create. And again, this is just a simple overview right here. It's also going to show a question summary and an answer summary for quick, again, viewing of what's being created before we actually download the document. I'll go through here and just show you how it dynamically added the children, how it's splitting up the information there, as well as any special gifts. There apparently is a pony being given to a daughter, all my tools to a son. the provision information here, how it's all split out. Again, this is all completely fully customized by you, and I'll show you here in a minute how we're going to create this document. I'll show you a simple example, but it's still going to show you how to actually create the document itself. And then the last bit of information here is about a power of attorney and who you want that person to be. And then the end of the interview. So as you can see, we quickly went through and created the just put in all the answers that's going to create the document on the output. And this is the final step. How do we want it to be output? Into a simple Microsoft Word document? Do we want it to be saved to a file folder somewhere? Or do we want to assemble this as a PDF document? That way it prevents any type of manipulation in the future. So for this example, we'll go ahead and select Microsoft Word, and I'll click the Finish button. And this is where we talked about before about the answer file. When we started the process, it said, do you want to create a new answer file or reuse an existing answer file? If I wanted to take the answer for Bob Jones here and create a file for him, again, so I can come back and change things in the future, or if I just want to keep more information about him in our system, you can go ahead and do a file save as, and select and keep the answer file anywhere on your network drive or on your local computer. I'll click cancel for that one and open up in a different window. So I'll pull this one down here. And this is the output document. And the one thing I want you to notice is this is simply a Word document. Now it's got document 5 here, so we're going to want to go ahead and do file save as, but you have the full power of Microsoft Word to come in and look through the entire document. If for some reason you see something you want to change, or you want to add, bold, or change the coloring to something else, you can go through here and do anything you want to, even as far as taking it and doing the review process, if this is part of a workflow you have for your practice there. And we'll come down, look through here, all the signature blocks are correct. I selected power of attorney, so it's being added here. It's got the name, it's got the power of attorney name here. It's got today's date added to the end of it with the signing block here as well. But in the end, like I said, it's a much quicker, simpler, faster way to get to an absolutely perfectly crafted document, either in Word or PDF format. And so what we'll do now that I've showed you how to create the document is we'll transition over, or create it from an end user perspective, we'll transition over and show you how the content author actually takes a document like the simple will and turns it into that dynamic question and answer interview. So let's go ahead and do that now. So what we'll do now is we're going to open up a plain Word document. This is going to be a document that you have and use on a daily basis. Again, this is that simple will example. And as you'll notice, again, I'm starting in Microsoft Word. There's nothing special or fancy here. Now I've placed some of the text in red just because we're going to be showing that as part of the demonstration today, but again, nothing special about that other than the fact it is in red. So what we'll do is we'll take and open up a standard Word document. We'll go to the HotDocs ribbon icon up here, hit Create Template. And what that's going to do is going to open up HotDocs Developer and ask us now to name this new template. So I'll name this a simple will demo 1 and hit the save button. And you see it flash. What it actually did is now here on this side is the simple will that is the original document. What it's created for us is created for us a template, because as you can see under this HotDocs ribbon, now we have much more of the icons available. So now we're actually in the development phase of building out that intelligent question and answer section. So the first thing I see, and again, I put it in red to make it stand out, was a name. So we'll take a name, we'll click variable, again, changeable piece of information, grab this over here, and it's asking us what type of information is this? Is this a text? Is it a number? Is it a date? Is it a true-false question? A multiple choice question? Some type of computation or calculation? But for this one, we'll keep it simple. We'll say it's going to be a text. And on the text, we're going to go ahead and put in, let's see, we'll put in client name and the format that it wants to be in. Right now, the format is all uppercase, so we'll leave that. And I'm going to change it to look like this. and do replace multiple, replace all, which means it's going to look through the entire document and find that name. It's just a simple word find and replace throughout the entire document to make that change. We're also, and that was actually creating our first question. So our first question is now called client name. And when we input that information like we saw previously, it's going to output that throughout the entire document. But that was the very first question we created. The second question we're going to create is a date. Again, as you guessed, we're going to select variable field, and from that, we're going to grab date. Now, the nice thing you'll notice is I didn't tell it what format to choose. It looked at the format of what I'd selected and intelligently selected that from the different formats that we could have chosen or selected. I'll make this the, let's see, I could put today's date if I wanted to in here. Got again the format correct and replace multiple. And go through document, do the same thing. We've just created our second question. All right, so what we'll do now is we'll do a multiple choice. So we'll go ahead and grab this third option here, which is the attorney name. And this might be useful if you have multiple attorneys within a practice, or again, multiple drop downs if you're doing like different states or things like that. But this is essentially how we create a multiple choice. So we'll do, I'll just make an attorney name here. I'm going to create from this a list of attorneys. That's there in the practice. And let's see, that should be fine. Click OK. So it's giving us those drop downs as our multiple choice option. So when you do the have the selection do the multiple choice, it drops down. You have 3 selections there. And we'll hit replace multiple. To go through the entire document again and add that drop down question. The answer will populate throughout the document. What I've also added here is a special gift section. So I wanted to highlight just quickly how we do a simple computation. Now we can do highly complex calculations and computations really based on whatever you need, but for the example today, I'll do a very simple one. So we'll start with the first part. This will be very simple because it's just a number, and we'll create this being, we'll do gift amount and hit replace once. But now this second part, because it's referencing this first part right here, this question here, we're going to change this and make this a computation. We're going to do, let's say monthly gift payout. I'm going to do a computation. We'll take the question that we created, which is the gift amount. We're going to pull it up here and divide it by 120, which is 120 months because it's across a 10-year period. We will hit OK on that. And what we've done with that one is we've gone ahead, let's see, just replace once. We've gone ahead, and this is not going to be a question. This is going to be, again, a calculation based off the gift amount that we've added to that question to answer session. So this will automatically be a calculation based off of this. And I'll show you one last thing. I was going to do it here, but I think I'll do it down here. I'm going to grab the entire power of attorney that we have added to it. I'm going to take this and make this an insert field, which is essentially a sub-template. And I'll tell you more about what that means here in just 1 second. I'm going to do general power of attorney as the name of it. But when we do this, when I click this button, it's going to make a flash. I want to tell you what that flash is doing. So you saw the flash there. What the flash actually did is it took that entire section, the general power of attorney, and it created from that a sub-template. What that means is if I have this power of attorney that's being used across 4, 5, 6 different documents, I only want to make a change to it in one place and have that change reflected across all those documents. So how you would do that is this right here. We've done the insert. Now I can edit that template. Now I can open this. This is just a file save as. It can be saved anywhere on your shared network drive or local drive. But this is just a Word document. So I can go in here. If I need to make any changes to the Word document for the power of attorney, I can do that. Once I'm done making the change, again, just in Microsoft Word format, I can hit the Save button, and that's it. I'll close the document, and now when I upload the template again for use, the power of attorney has been changed across that, again, one or multiple documents. That's how we essentially manage all types of clauses, provisions, terms, conditions, things like that across multiple documents. Okay, and so now we've completed most of the simple creation of the questions and answers. What we'll do at this point is we'll go ahead, and you can do this anytime during the process. We'll go ahead and go back to HotDocs ribbon. We'll do a test assembly, which will show us what the dynamic question and answer interview will look like. Now, we may want to come in here later and change some of this to make it not have so much white space, kind of pull items in. But again, for testing and for a first example, we'll continue like this. So we'll name it Bob Jones for the client name. Today's date, I'll put a T, which pulls in today's date. The attorney name, remember we created these. We'll do John Jones. Gift amount, let's use a random number so it can't be easy calculation. Include power of attorney, yes or no. And again, this will add that section or delete the section. And here, this is actually a good spot to demonstrate that because we have a document preview tab up here, which is going to show us what's going to be in the final document. So let me leave out the power of attorney, click document preview. It's going to show us up here what the answers we input in were. Bob Jones, February 27th, John James. You can go through and see blue here and here, where it's made the change calculation automatically, more information, and it ends there. Now, if I click to add the power of attorney, you can see on here that all of a sudden it's going to have the power of attorney added at the end. So now that I'm satisfied, I've gone through, done the answers, I can go ahead and click the Finish button. Now, what that'll do is it's going to ask me at this point, okay, I've made changes, I've completed the document. Do I want to save this document or this answer file for the document? So if you wanted to save information about your client, you might want to do a save as and save this as Bob Jones. So you can reference this or use this for future documents when you're creating those as well. So if you're creating a secondary document for Bob Jones and you want to reuse some of the information from this document here, you can start there as opposed to starting from scratch. But for this purpose, we're not going to do that. I'm going to say don't save. So I want to get directly to the Microsoft Word document that we just generated from that question answer. So you can see here, last will of Bob Jones, February 27th, John James was the attorney we selected. Down here, we had information about a gift amount, what that calculation was broken out across 120 months. We can come down and see, let's see if it inserted it here, the power of attorney that we asked it to include here. So as you can see, it's very easy to not only preview as you're creating the document, but it's very easy to create the output document from here. Again, this is just a native Word document. You can take it, you can add information to it, you can change the color, the text, the size. If you forgot to add something, you can add it here, or you can relaunch the interview and make a change or selection there. But essentially, at this point, it's just a Word document. You can go ahead and put in information, redline it, put in changes, do markups, anything you want, and then file and save as on your network drive, or save as PDF, or send to an e-signature system. Again, it's just a native Word document. At this point, there's nothing special about this, other than the fact that it's absolutely perfectly created by HotDocs in a very simple and easy and intuitive process. So at this point, let's go ahead and continue on, and I will close down this document. All right, again, thank you for your time. We greatly appreciate you watching the demonstration of HotDocs Developer. To follow up and to wrap up, again, why HotDocs? It really centers around compliance, standardization, document creation efficiency, and centralized control of important information, really ensuring that everything that leaves, every document that leaves your organization is perfectly crafted. It's compliant with all the new rules and regulations. Again, it's standardized with headers and footers. It's got, efficient as possible in the creation process. And, if you'd like to reach out to us to learn more, we'd love to connect with you. Please reach out to us on our website, on social media or give us a call directly at 1-800-500-3627. And again, we'd be more than happy to continue that discussion. Thanks.